So last week I was on a road trip of sorts. I had my annual trip to Lake Junaluska. And so if you are a United Methodist pastor in this region of the country, you make an annual trip to Lake Junaluska because we're told to. We have to. And so we go, our bishop makes us go, but even though we are made to go, it's a great time to get together. There's clergy, there's pastors, there's lay people from our region that gather, and every year we gather at Lake Junaluska for prayer, for a time of worship, for a time of planning, for a time of talking about what's been happening in the past year in ministry in our churches, and trying to help people be inspired for the work ahead in the next year. And while it's important to attend to the business, because it's part worship, it's also part of a business meeting, to be informed of what's happening, to pass resolutions, and to help attend to those like business things that you have to do. It's also such an amazing time to connect with other people, because there's some people in our lives together that we only see each other, once or twice a year. And being together at this trip is a chance to do that, to reconnect with colleagues, to reconnect with friends that perhaps we haven't seen in a while. For the past several years, I've been able to rent a cabin with a good friend, a fellow pastor from Chattanooga, and we meet up with other folks and just really try to pour into each other. But for the past couple of years, it has been quite the challenge to get there. I mean, just physically to get there. Without traffic, it's probably 2 hours away from this area, which is really not a bad drive, but it's never a drive without traffic. And this year, I encountered, there's this terrible rollover accident on I-40, kind of on the Knoxville side of things. It was like an interstate was blocked in both ways. And then you get into North Carolina, and the road narrows as you're driving through the gorge, and just the chances to stop, and as you wind your way through the mountains, there aren't many places to get off. And as I was driving, by this point in the day, my eyes were struggling to stay open, which is kind of a challenge, and it's not a good thing to drive as your eyes are struggling to stay open. So I'm like, okay, I have to find coffee. But I know that when I get into North Carolina, the options for coffee until I get to my destination, they're like almost non-existent. And so I'm like, okay, how can I do this? Well, I've got one more exit, I think, in Tennessee. It's Newport, and I don't know if you've ever been to Newport. It's a small town, but it said there was a Starbucks. I'm like, okay, there's a Starbucks. I can get off. I can get my coffee. And so I get off the exit, and I'm following my directions, and I'm like, okay, this is not a Starbucks that's on the exit. You keep driving into town, you turn right. It's this nice little quaint little town, and there's a food city. And the Starbucks is in the food city. Like any good small town, the coffee shop is in the food city. So what did I do? I'm like, okay, I'm already here. So I get out, I get my coffee, then I do some grocery shopping because I'm gonna have to do that anyways. And what was supposed to be, like a 5-minute detour ends up being a half hour. And then when I get back on the interstate, my GPS tells me to take like this side road to get off the main highway. So I do. And luckily this one works out because the interstate ends up being stopped by another wreck, and I just keep driving. And then when I get back on, I'm into that part of I-40. If you've driven it in the past couple years, that was just devastated by Hurricane Helene. If you've driven this in the past couple years, you know what it looks like. It looks like the whole mountain just fell away. If you haven't driven it, you're just kind of like taking your life into your hands because you're driving. There's this narrow road and one lane in both directions as the mountain drops off the side. It's such an amazing construction project of what they're trying to do to repair this. But I had my audiobook. I had plenty of time, and I was awake by this point. But it was a journey. It was a journey, and when we got there, everybody that traveled from this area of the Knoxville area, we all complained about the same things. We all complained about the wreck. We all complained about the traffic and whatnot. But it was all a journey, and it all took us to some place. That's often how journeys work. You may know where you're trying to go, but you don't always know what the road will hold. Over the summer, I know that there's many that are gone, many that are taking vacations. Even this morning, families were texting. Some folks were letting me know, "Hey, I'm away this week," and I know that for them, whatever journey they're going someplace, but there's a journey to get to that place. And summer break has always kind of been this season of journeying, of traveling maybe physically, traveling to the ball field or taking a trip to the lake, even if it's just for the afternoon, or a journey that might take you on vacation. But for some of us, it's just a journey to be on summer break because our kids are out of school and trying to figure out what that means to how to live each day, just trying to make ends meet or trying to help everybody stay sane in the midst of some complicated scheduling. But summer, it has historically been this time of road trips or this time of looking for experiences. But not every journey that we're on, not every journey that people are on involves a swimsuit, a suitcase, or a GPS. Because there's other journeys that many folks are walking. Maybe many of us this morning are walking or will walk. And these are not the journeys that we like to talk about. These are not always the journeys that make it into your photo album. But these are journeys that we have to walk through nonetheless. There's journeys of parenting. And there's some really great moments and then some really twists and turns that happen through that journey. There are some people who are navigating the journey of a difficult diagnosis. It's like, this thing, it's on my shoulder and I don't know what to do with it, but it's here nonetheless, and trying to figure out that difficult diagnosis. There's others who are walking through a season or maybe seasons of grief where it just wells up inside of you, and you know that you're missing somebody who's dear to you, and you're just grieving them over and over. And some are just tired of trying to get through that next stretch of the journey. When I think about the journey of life, I also think about the journey of faith. The summer after my 9th grade year in high school, I went to a Young Life camp. If you're familiar with Young Life, I went to Windy Gap camp in North Carolina the summer after my freshman year. And I had grown up in church my whole life. I'd grown up going to church. And I did all the things that meant. I was baptized as an infant. I was raised in Sunday school. I raised hell in Sunday school. And thanks, AJ. Maybe I shouldn't say that. But like, I was the special child, and everybody gave me a lot of attention, whether it was for good or for ill. But like, I kept coming, and they kept showing up, and I give thanks for them. And then I was confirmed into the faith. I professed faith in Jesus. But in many ways, as I was growing into what we call maturity and, as an early teenager, I hadn't taken responsibility for my own faith, like what that meant in my own life. But that summer, after my 9th grade year as a 15-year-old, something happened at that Young Life camp where faith became real to me, and I accepted like Jesus for myself and in my own life. It was funny, last night I was asleep on the couch, as I do because I'm 39, and I watch a movie and it's like, okay, let's turn on the sleep. Like, if the movie's good, I fall asleep. And a teenager who lives across the street, she like stormed into our house, and she had just gotten home from her Young Life camp after her 15 years old, and wanted to share with Hope and wake me up from my slumber. But as I was thinking about that, I was like, man, I'm talking about Young Life this morning, and how amazing. The reason that I talking about this is that as part of that time, they gifted a Bible to us, and the Bible, it just says the journey on the front, and this is the Bible that I was given however many years ago that was. I was 15 years old, and I know it's kind of cliche to talk about faith as a journey, but it really is. It really is a journey, and this is a Bible that I read a lot then, and then I've got a lot of marks in it and whatnot. But I've always kept it with me to remind me that even if it sounds cliche, even if it's something that people say all the time, faith itself, one's life with God, one's trying to understand God and trying to understand life, is a journey itself. Because one's life with God, it's not something that's static. You don't just accept faith in Jesus and then that's it. You don't just, go to church one day or go to church for a season of your life and you start thinking about God in one way and never have any doubts or never have any questions. Faith is always a journey from somewhere to somewhere else because we're always somewhere on the road. We're always somewhere between where we have been and where God is calling us to next. And the hard part about this is that we rarely get to see the whole road ahead. We rarely get to see what's in front of us. We rarely get to see all the opportunities and all of the pitfalls that are ahead of us. When it comes to this journey, whether it's a journey of faith or a journey in life or even just like that summer road trip journey, God wants to be right there with you. Right there with you with whatever is going on. Right there in the easy times, right there in the hard times. God wants to be there with you when things go your way and when traffic delays your arrival. And this has always been the case. And today I want to share with you a passage from the Bible. It's a psalm in the Bible. And it speaks about this. It's Psalm 121. And the Psalms are a part of the Bible that express so much about life and faith. So much of the realities of life and faith can be found in poetic form. If you're ever having a good day, there's a psalm that's in the Bible that will speak to your good day. If you're ever struggling in life, there's a psalm that is in this book that will speak to your struggle. If you're ever just so angry with God or with somebody else that you just want your enemies to die, there's a psalm about that just the depths of the heartache in life. There's something there in the Psalms that speak to that. And the psalm that I want to share with you today is a psalm about travel. It's a psalm about the journey. It's often called a pilgrim psalm. And it's a psalm that it kind of looks at what a pilgrim who might be traveling up to Jerusalem to worship God might speak. So you had in the early Jewish world, Jerusalem was the place where people wanted to go, and so they would travel. People today still travel to do pilgrimage to Jerusalem so that they could worship God at the temple that was there. And now there's 3 religions that will do pilgrimages to Jerusalem, but they would go to Jerusalem to worship God who was there. And as they would do this psalm that we see, it's kind of a road song. It's a traveler's prayer. It's kind of a song for along the way. I want to share it with you. Psalm 121, I'm going to read the whole thing. It's 8 verses. I will lift up my eyes to the hills. From where will my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made the earth and the heavens. He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. He who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time until forevermore. So this psalm, it begins by looking up. The traveler is looking up. Their eyes are elevated, looking to the mountains. And in the context of the writer, they were traveling likely to Jerusalem, and Jerusalem was on top of a hill, on top of a mountain. So from every direction that you would travel to Jerusalem, you always travel up. And the road to Jerusalem, it's a dangerous road. If you've ever heard the story about Jesus and the Good Samaritan story that Jesus tells, this is a story that happens on the road to Jerusalem. And what happens is that these robbers, these bandits attack somebody and leave them for dead. And so people know that the road to Jerusalem is dangerous. You travel through rocks and caverns. You make a hard trip that it could be dangerous as people are there perhaps to take advantage of you. And so as they look up, I wonder, they start to second guess themselves. There's where I'm supposed to go. There's where my plans tell me to go. Maybe my GPS tells me to go, but I'm not sure I can make it. I'm not sure how am I going to get there because it is such a journey. The terrain is treacherous, and perhaps they're sitting there wondering, second guessing their life choices. Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this where I should be going? And maybe you've felt this way in life. Maybe you felt this way in life. You thought you knew what you wanted to do. You thought you knew what was ahead. But now you see the challenges that are in front of you, and you're like, you know what? I'm not quite sure I can take the chance. I'm not quite sure I can just keep going. So you wonder, should I turn around? Should I do something else? Should I just leave or just give up? But the reality of this psalm is that it doesn't pretend that the road is easy. The psalmist knows that they need help. So as they look up and they see all the challenges ahead of them, they say, where's my help coming from? Where does my help come from? And this isn't, nothing bad is going to happen to you along the way. This is a statement of just knowing that you need help to get there. And then we get the answer. And the answer comes in the very next verse, in the next line that says, my help comes from the Lord. Now, as you read through this, it's just, where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord. But I wonder what happened at the in-between. I wonder what happened in the line break. I wonder how long that traveler was wondering about this. I wonder how long that traveler just stared up at the road ahead and was wondering, where's my help going to come from? How am I going to get there? How am I going to get beyond when I can't seem to get it together in my life? How am I going to move on when I just have this massive loss in my family and I don't know how to step forward? How am I going to keep going? All the answers that people try to give me, they don't make sense. They seem tried. They seem like they're good for somebody else maybe, but they just don't seem real in my life. How am I going to keep going? I just wonder how long that traveler stood there and asked that question. How am I going to get there? How am I going to get there? Where is my help going to come from? How long is it going to take? Where is my help going to get there? Or where is my help going to come from? I wonder how long the traveler was anxious about the dangerous road ahead. I wonder how long the traveler was just stuck. I wonder how much time passed from, where's my help going to come from? And my help comes from the Lord. Sometimes you just have to sit with the hard stuff for a while. I don't know about you. I don't like sitting with the hard stuff. I want to skip to the good part. I want to skip to the easy part. But sometimes you have to sit with the hard stuff for a while before we can get an answer to the problem. But then it comes. Then it comes, and the psalmist says, you realizes, my help comes from the Lord, the maker of the heavens and the earth. If the God can make the earth and the heavens, the traveler realizes, maybe God can help me. God can help me. God can help me get to where I need to be. God can help me get to Jerusalem so I can worship God. The help comes not from making the perfect plans. The help comes not from having the perfect itinerary. The help comes not from having to know all the detours that you can take. The help comes not from having your AAA membership all paid up. The help comes from the maker of the heavens and the earth. Then we ask, well, what kind of help does the Lord provide? And we see this in the next verses. The Lord keeps watch over you. The Lord keeps watch over you and will not slumber or will not sleep. The Lord is your keeper. Time and time again, this psalm talks about God being your keeper, somebody who wants to keep hold of you. The Lord will be your shade. The Lord will keep you from evil and will hold your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in today and forever from today. What kind of help does the Lord provide? The traveler says that the Lord is your keeper. Psalm 121, it doesn't give you a map. Gives you a keeper, someone to care for you, someone to walk with you, someone to watch you while you rest, someone to guard you while you walk, someone to attend to you when things get hard, someone to hold you when you're overcome with grief, someone to go with you wherever you are. You matter to God, and the psalmist says, because you matter to God, God's going to be there to watch over you. Of course, the road can still get hard, but this doesn't mean that there will be no wrecks, that there's not going to be any detours, that this doesn't mean that all the hard stuff is just going to go away. But it does mean that wherever the road leads, that God is right there with you. That God is not going to abandon you on the trip, that God is going to be there with you when things are hard. That when you look up and you wonder, where's my help going to come from? That you already have the answer. Your help comes from the Lord, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the one who wants to care for you even when you sleep, the one who promises to keep you. Now, you do not have to see the whole road ahead to take the next step. The traveler in Psalm 121 did not have a full map of everything ahead. The traveler saw the hills. The traveler knew that there was danger. The traveler knew that the road was going to be hard, but the traveler also knew where their help would come from. My help comes from the Lord, the maker of the heavens and the earth. And so this summer, as you go out, as you come in, carry this with you. Carry Psalm 121 with you. When you leave your house, remember, my help comes from the Lord. When you feel anxious about what's ahead, remember the Lord is my keeper. When you're tired and worn out, remember that God is the one who will care for you because he never sleeps or slumbers. And when you do not know what the road ahead holds, remember that the Lord will keep your going out and your coming in today and for forever from today. Now, one of the ways that Christians, so that's found in the Old Testament, that's a great Jewish prayer. It's a great Christian prayer, but sometimes it helps to think about, how do other people say this? And one of the ways that Christians have prayed a prayer similar for this for centuries is a prayer that's often attributed to St. Patrick. Now, St. Patrick was this guy who was sold into slavery in Ireland, and then he ended up being credited for bringing Christianity to Ireland. And there's this famous prayer of Patrick known as Patrick's breastplate prayer. And what it does is this prayer, it surrounds the whole journey of life with the presence of Christ. And I want to pray some of this with you. And the whole prayer is quite long, but I want to pray part of it with you where it's just simple. Christ with me, Christ before me, Christ behind me, Christ in me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ on my right, Christ on my left, Christ when I lie down, Christ when I sit down, Christ when I rise. And the prayer goes on to talk about all the different ways and the different places a body can be, one can be, but yet praying that God will be right there with you, that God covers your whole life in the life of Jesus. And this is road trip faith. This is faith for the journey, not a faith that says that the road will be easy, not a faith that says that there's not going to be detours or dangers or grief or uncertainty, but a faith that says, I'm not alone. God is with me. God is before me. God is behind me. God is in me. God is beneath me. God is above me. God is on my right. God is on my left. God is with me when I lie down and when I stand up. God is with me when I rise. God is with me even when I fall. My help comes from the Lord who is my keeper. And wherever the road leads, Christ goes with me. So wherever you are going today, whatever is ahead of you this week, dear ones, I want you to know that you are not alone. If you don't remember anything else today, remember that you are not alone, that God is with you, that God wants to carry you through. And so I want to ask you just a couple of questions. Where in your life do you see the struggle? Where in your life today do you need God and you're wondering, where does my help come from? Where in your life maybe today do you feel alone? Where do you need to know that God is with you? And wherever that is, I just pray that right now you feel God with you. And I want to pray for you. God, I know that there are people here today who are struggling, that there's uncertainty in their lives and pain, and the road ahead just seems uncertain. And so, God, I pray for each one that you would show up in their lives, and that you would give them the heart to cry out to you. Where's my help going to come from? And God, I pray that you would just help them answer it, that you would answer it for them and say, I'm right here. I'm the maker of heavens and the earth. I'm the one that cares for you. I'm the one that wants to hold you. And I want to be with you all the way through. So if you're praying right now and you're struggling, God, I just ask that you receive that. Just open your heart and allow God to speak to you, to care for you. I give this all in the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.